Welcome to PaddyCast. In this episode, we're joined by former WBC World Champion Tony Bellew. So, Tony, what I want to know here is how you actually get started in boxing.
How I got started, okay. I kickboxed as a kid for a little bit, and basically I got disqualified in my last couple of contests for knocking people out with punches to the head. It was supposed to be semi-contact, and I chinned the last two opponents and got disqualified. So my dad was made up that I chinned them because what he'd been showing me what to do in the yard when I was a kid was to punch through a target instead of at it and score a point. So it kind of worked, but you're not supposed to be rendering people unconscious when you're 12 years old. So I got disqualified, and that was it, mate. I thought I'll give boxing a go. At first, I played with it, to be honest, Pad. I didn't take it seriously. I just messed around with it. Went to and from gyms, but I loved playing football, so I didn't really want to box. It was only until I got to around 14 I really started studying boxing. I mean, studying it inside and out. At this stage, I'd still never had an actual bout at 14.
Yeah.
So I was training. I was in different gyms. I was knocking around. If I'm being honest, I was then at 14. I was using boxing as a really handy weapon on the street. To be honest.
So you're a street fighter, basically.
I wouldn't say street fighter, but whenever a problem came across and I was out with my mates, I would always be the one to encounter it or be the first one to throw a punch. And it worked out all right, to be honest. And then I got expelled from school. I went up on getting expelled from school in my final year for, believe it or not, fighting. I thought, I'm leaving school. I've been expelled from school. I've got no qualifications. The one thing in the world that I actually love doing is boxing. So let's try and start taking it a little bit seriously. At this stage, I was in an amateur boxing gym. The first one was called Stockbridge ABC.
I fought someone from there myself.
Yeah, so I was in Stockbridge first. They had a good coach. His name was Mark Kinney, and he was a brilliant coach, mate. He really was. But he ended up getting a job, and that meant he was on a shift pattern. So he would do a weekend mornings, weekend middle days, and weekend nights. So basically, he would train me for one or 2 weeks out of 4.
Yeah.
And that wasn't enough. So I left Stockbridge. I think I left Stockbridge with a 3-0 or 4-0 record, amateur record. In my last fight till alive, I got disqualified. A kid called James Boyd spat in my face, so I butted him right in the nose. And I never classed it as a loss, but that was it. I left there after that bout. That was my 4th bout, and it was this James Boyd's like 80th bout. This kid, the year after I boxed him, he went on to become ABA champion. I boxed him in my 4th ever amateur bout. It's crazy when I look back at it. I went to under ABC. I met with a guy called Jimmy Albertina, and I never looked back after that. As soon as I met Jimmy Albertina, I took a kid.
What was the second club there again?
Rotunda ABC.
I hope I don't get this wrong, but was that the same club as Tony Dodson?
No. Well, Tony Dodson, I believe, did come to Rotunda, but Tony Dodson was Gemini.
Gemini, he was, you're right.
So Gemini ABC was an absolutely unbelievable gym. They had a patch where they had glory years in Merseyside boxing. They were the team, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had a fair few number of fighters. A kid called Carl Waller and a lad called Lee Edel. Both brilliant fighters. Edel won an ABA title. I think Worley got all the way to a final. He got really close. Anyway, he lost to Ricky Hatton in the quarters or the semis the year Ricky Hatton won them. So there was some brilliant boxers around the Merseyside area. But Gemini was a really hotbed for the gym.
Yeah.
But I went to Rotunda. Rotunda ABC, in my opinion, is one of the best amateur boxing gyms.
Yeah, obviously that's where the Smiths went to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one I trained alongside all 4. A number of, I think the best boy I ever trained with, and I still believe this day, the best natural talent I ever trained with Joseph Selkirk. Just
class.
Mate, the kid could just do everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he was round the bend, but mate, he was just fucking shit off. There was nothing Joseph couldn't do. I still say this day, I love Joseph. He's like a little brother to me, but he was just nuts, mate. He had so much ability, but he had more ability in his left arm than all of the rest of us in that gym
Yeah.
had in our two hands and our whole body. He just had a boxing brain that was just unbelievable.
I would nearly say I trained with Joe Selkirk and Marbella, but he never trained. He's a fucking bluffer. But he
Do
was
you know what, mate?
unbelievable.
I took him to, when I first turned professional, I went to Manchester. I took Joseph with me to Manchester. I used to pick him up outside his house. I'd be waiting outside his house. I'd tell him to be ready for 9:30, and at 5 to 10, I'd still be sitting outside the house waiting for him to come out. When I left Manchester and came home back to Liverpool and Rotunda, I brought him back to Rotunda with me. And Mick McAllister was like, and you can't be training with him. He's nuts, you know what he's like? And I was like, he'll be fine. He's great. Once we get training with him, he's sound. Joseph trained with me, Mark Quinn, and Mick McAllister. The only thing he missed out on is coming to Sheffield with me after I left Rotunda ABC. But at that stage, he was then forging his way in Marbella and doing what he was doing over there. And he was training and stuff. But I always wished Joseph could have stuck with me. If I'd have got Joseph with Dave Caldwell, I know for a fact he'd have become world champion.
Yeah.
As long as I could have got Joseph away from Liverpool, away from everything and everyone else and friends or whatever, if I could have got Joseph to live with me in Sheffield I actually think I'd only need him to live with me for 12 months, because the way I lived, Joseph, I'm sure, has told you, it was boxing and that was it. I just lived boxing, mate. I would lock myself in the hotel, be on my own, and just live it. If Joseph was willing to do that with me for a year, I'm telling you, mate, he'd have been a world champion. What took me 10 years, Joseph could have completed and done in one.
It's ridiculous, because he was ridiculously talented. But actually, when I first broke on the amateur scene myself in 2005-06, you were actually on the scene as well. So I think it was David Price or Danny Price. It was.
Yes.
By 2 points or whatever I was reading before, but he obviously went to the World Championships then.
Yeah, he beat me by a point. He beat me by a point in the ABA final, which to this day I still think I won. But I was, he's a good kid.
Yeah.
But Danny was the only person I ever boxed who I didn't want to hurt. I actually really liked Danny. He was a lovely kid, and he had so much boxing ability. But Danny was a strange fighter. Danny fought scared, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He boxed not to get hit, whereas I boxed to actually get hit, but I was going to hit you hard and you were going to hit me, which was never going to work in the amateurs. I always admired Danny, a lovely lad, a far better amateur boxer than me. I just think he was so nervous about getting hit by me. I mean, Danny Price should have absolutely boxed my head off. It shouldn't have even been close. I shouldn't have got anywhere near him, but for him to beat me by one, let me know that I probably won the fight. But it's just one of them things, mate. In amateur boxing, it doesn't go your way. Brilliant fighter that he was. But I remember yourself, Kenny Egan, Eric Donovan, because I remember Swifty boxed him. There was another couple. I remember Darren Sutherland.
Roy Sheehan.
Roy Sheehan. That was it. O'Neill. I remember O'Neill as well.
Yeah, Bernard was.
He was a great lad. But I always remember Darren Sutherland breathing out. You know, he's up there watching everyone now. But I always remember watching him and thinking, you are the most insanely driven person I've ever seen.
Ridiculous.
Or just unbelievably driven and motivated. Wasn't the best boxer, but tell you what, mate, dedication above and beyond the levels that boxers need. So, there was a few. I'm trying to think. Who else was there? There was a few, mate. I'll say your lads were always, whenever no one would want a Jordan Irish lad in the championships or in multi-nations, you just wouldn't want to do me. You guys were unbelievable. I think he was he Yugoslavian, one of the coaches, or was he Russian?
From Georgia.
Georgia, that was it. He was, I always remember your lads talking very highly of him.
Very, very good.
Yeah, he said he was fantastic, mate. He was absolutely phenomenal. Changed Irish boxing and helped so many.
Yeah, he would have come in and changed the culture kind of thing, and that's how we all get better. But like, I'll go back to the Danny Price thing. Like after that defeat, obviously he went to the qualifier. Was the Beijing Olympics ever on your radar? If you had to beat him, like?
No, do you know what? It's mad. I never thought I was good enough to win an Olympic medal. I never thought I was good enough to be there. My goal, in all honesty, was it 2014 or was it the Commonwealth Games in
2010.
Melbourne.
Or
2010.
06.
Was it?
Yeah.
My goal was them Commonwealth Games. My plan was always them Commonwealth Games. And when I didn't get picked for them, I was like, fuck's sake, I thought I should have been, because David Dolan, as time had passed, and he beat me twice in the amateurs. He was just a better amateur boxer than me. He was always outboxing me, and I just couldn't keep with it. But my goal was, he got knocked out by Alazardi Elkin in the World Championships. I think it was in somewhere like Thailand or something like that.
Yeah, 205.
He got absolutely, and he got steamed. And I was hoping to get on the team for the Commonwealth Games, and I was told it was only between me and David Dolan. So when David Dolan got knocked out, I always remember Paul King was one of the directors of the England boxing at the time, and he said, "Tone, you're going to go to the Commonwealth Games." So I was like, okay, that's great. That's all I want, because I thought if I could win a Commonwealth gold on the back of that, I'd get a really good pro deal, because the amount of coverage you get at the Commonwealth Games was massive. It was crazy, mate. And it was the easiest international tournament in the whole world. And I just thought, my greatest threat out there would probably be Steve Simmons or Brad Pitt, the Australian boxer. And I thought I can definitely do the two of them. I'd already knocked out Steve Simmons in the amateurs already. Even though I was 10 points behind when I chinned him, like, but don't get me wrong, I'd beat him. And I thought that Brad Pitt was all right, but I thought I'm better. I can probably chin him as well. And then it was mad. Teddy Edwards didn't like me. He never did. I just didn't get on with him. I don't think it went down well when I called him a cab driver. And he just didn't like me, mate. So we always clashed. I know, that's how he was, mate. That's how he got the England job. But it is what it is. That's there. So I just got launched, and I thought, right, I'll turn pro. I'd had 3 ABA titles. Out of me 3 ABA titles, I'd knocked out 2 cold. One of them I'd won on points, and then the other one, the fourth one, that I thought was against Danny Price. But I just thought, turn pro. And when I first turned over, it was just like, make a few quid, pay for my house. Pay for my house, and try and buy a few terraced houses. I'd always believed, listen, I'm strong enough, and I knew I'd be dedicated enough to win a world title. I just couldn't get my head round why no proposers wanted to sign me. And the first one who actually contacted me, I asked a friend to ask Frank Warren to put a good word in for me and speak to Warren. But this person didn't put the good word in for me. In actual retrospect, he's done me more harm than he done me good. Just ask him to do me a favour. So what I've done is Mick Hennessy approached me with Tony Sims. And Tony Sims, I had a meeting with him. I still remember it. It was at Dudley Town Hall in Birmingham on the Howard Eastman bill. I went down. I watched Howard Eastman fight. I think it was a game. I forget the guy's name. Might have been a Shearer or something like that. I don't know. Went down with Mrs. Met McHennessy and Tony Sims, and Tony Sims was like, I want you to turn pro with me at cruiserweight, do this, this, and this. And I said, well, first off, when I turn pro, I'm going to do light heavyweight. And he said, are you nuts? He said, the size, you're 6'3", you're big built. How are you going to do light heavyweight? I said, trust me, I'll do it. Anyway, I went away. On the Monday, the paperwork came through and they offered me a deal. And the deal on paper was $3,000 a fight for the 4-round fight. You can fight anywhere between 4 and 6 times a year. This, that, and this, that. I take 25% as a manager and trainer. You're promoted, takes X amount if you fight under the bill. And then when I sat down and got home, I thought, all this fucking shite I've read about boxers turning pro and the deals they get and this and that. I sat down with my missus and said, basically, they're offering me $18,000 a year, of which they're going to take 25%. And then if I get injured, it's on me. I said, love, I'm actually better off just staying amateur and just and trying to wait and see what happens if I can get to a big tournament or whatever and see what I can do. And she was like, my missus is crazy. She used to actually think amateur boxing was like pretend because we wore head guards and gloves. She thought like it's not really real. It's like, she said to me, it's like tick. And I was like, fucking hell, girl, you want to play tick with some fucking Russians? You'll fucking feel like you've been hit with a hammer. So she thought professional boxing, she understood professional boxing was really dangerous. So she said, well, you can't turn pro for that. We sat and discussed it. At this moment now, I've got my first son. He's just been born. Yeah, and I was just like, what the fuck? What am I going to do? So they're not cutting the bills and I'm not making enough money. So I ended up going sparring in Dave Caldwell's gym, and I sparred a kid called Anthony. What was his name? Something. John Anthony, his name was, and he was a cruiserweight, and he wasn't a whale beater by any means, but he was like a 2-0 pro or a 2-1 pro. He was like a really heavy-handed professional who could do proper rounds. No one had stopped him. He was really good. And Dave Caldwell said, "Do you want to come in and do a bit of sparring with him?" I went in, and to be honest, I absolutely smacked the fucking living daylights out of this kid. I went in, he didn't lay a glove on me, and I just punished him from the word go. And Dave Caldwell watched the sparring session, and he said to me, "Why haven't you signed pro with anyone?" And I said, to be honest, I asked a friend of mine to have a word with Frank Warden and put a good word in for me and tell him I'm willing to turn pro. He said, "Just go and get a shower and come back." I went and got a shower in this gym. I came back. He phoned Frank Warden in front of me. And he said to Frank Warden, "I've got a TV fighter here for you." He said, "Now, believe you me, he's unreal." And I was like, fucking hell, he's only seen me spar once. Why is he picking me up like this? And I thought, just a lovely man, nice man, done a good deal, put a good word in for me, and I watched him do it in front of my eyes. That was on the Friday or the Thursday after I'd left Sheffield, because we used to live in Camp Monday to Thursday in that fucking shithole Sheffield. And he made the phone, it was horrible Monday to Thursday, Sheffield in that fucking holiday inn or travelling, whatever it was called, absolute shipping. So he made the phone call, Frank Warden picks up, and he says, "Yeah, Frank wants to speak to you." Frank said, "Can you beat me off on Monday morning?" And I said, "Yeah, no problem." I went down to Frank's office with my dad. My dad drove me down to London, and we got to Frank's office, met him, shook hands. He offered me double what Hennessy did, and he gave me a big signing on fee in my hand there and then, which I just couldn't believe. And I was like, oh, I can't believe this is what it's all about. He said to me, "You can box as many times as you want a year. I'll give you double what he was giving you. And what else do you want and need?" And I was like, fucking hell, really? And then the minute I met him, we got on. I got his number there, and then I remember Dean saying, "No one has Frank's personal number." Frank Warden gave me his number straight away. I had a relationship with Frank immediately. And that was it, mate. I was off. I turned professional. I signed pro forms with them in September. I fought my first 3 fights October, November, December, 3 fights back to back. I made a ton of money. And I was like, this is what professional boxing is. I was like, I've cracked it, I've made it, I've got one of the best promoters in the world on my side, and I've done it. Don't get me wrong, things changed gradually, but for the first 10 fights, everything was going to plan. I've done everything I needed to do. I kept asking to fight 6 rounds after I fought them first 3 fights. But he was like, no, you stay there, keep fighting the 4 rounders, basically, because I'd agreed me fee for 4 rounders and hadn't agreed me fee for 6 or 8 rounders. So he wants to keep me at 4 round level. And it's no disrespect to him, listen, it's a business, and I understand that, and I get it. But I was itching to fight 6 round fights as soon as my second fight was finished, because I was just smoking people, mate. I was going in, and as you know, when you turn professional, we've been high level amateurs, boxing the best other amateurs in the world. And when I turned pro, mate, I'm not going to lie, they were just horrendous.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Mate, I fought that fella called Jamie Ambler in my first pro fight, and I've seen fellas fight Jamie Ambler in the 30th pro fight as like a comeback fight or whatever. You've been out for a bit. And I fought Jamie Ambler, and I was thinking, I think his record was like 50-50, won half, he lost half. I just went in and bounced him all over the place in the first round. I was absolutely playing with him. And I remember going back the corner and saying to the coach in the corner, I said, "Listen, I won't be back after this round. I'm going to end it in this round." I said, "He's that poor, I can pick and choose when I want to end this." I went out for the second round, I stopped him immediately. Second fight, I fought someone who was supposed to give me rounds, just bounced him everywhere. In my third pro fight, they matched me with another fighter who was 4-0, and he was 4-0, and I was going to be 3-0 after this fight. So my third fight, I fought a kid called Wayne Brooks in Bolton, I think it was. So my second fight, I fought Adam Wilcox in the Millennium Stadium on the Joe Calzaghe Kessler bill. He was 2-0, and I was 2-0. Or I was 1-0, whatever it was. But I fought on the spin. I fought undefeated fighters from the get-go. They kept matching me tough. And I bounced Adam Wilcox all over the place at the Millennium Stadium. And then I fought this kid called Brooks. in my third or fourth fight, and I had a little bit of a war with him, but he just wasn't in my league. I broke his ribs that I left up to the body in the fourth round, and I done him. I put him out like a light. I've never knocked someone out clean with a body shot, but I fucking done it that night. And everything was going great. And then in my fifth pro fight, I think it might have been against Bonson, I snapped my hand. That was the first time I'd done it as a pro. I only ever broke my hands in fights. I broke my hands 6 times. I've got hands like a woman, make the girls' hands to just fall apart all the time. Pretty much like Selkirk's hands.
It's hard
mate, it's fucking crazy. So I got rid of, I tried my best, to get rid of Bonson, but snapped my hand on his forehead. And that put me out the ring for 5 months. This was the first time in my life I was completely skint. I was broke. I paid me taxes on my money that I'd earned so far. I'd earned about 30 grand in about 9 months. But I paid me manager's fees. I paid me taxes. And after all that, Christmas was just on the doorstep, and I was skint, mate. And I couldn't believe that. I was starting to worry. I was doing other things on the side to make money. I was doing bits and bobs. And I just thought, what the fuck am I going to do? And then that's when I started looking at professional boxing, thinking, I understand now why so many people they have a big bitterness towards it.
Yeah.
No one looked after me. My manager was the same person as my promoter, so you can't go to him because he looks out for the promotion. You know, when your manager and your promoter is the same person, who's arguing for the fighter? Is he going to argue with himself? It's crazy, mate. I mean, you know, if my manager's sitting there and my promoter's sitting there, it's the same man. Is he going to go to himself, well, Tony wants 8 grand for this fight? I know, yeah, but the promoter's going to say, but I can only give him 6. I said, what the fucking hell? Who's going to argue for me? He's arguing with himself. So I soon learned, and I felt like I was being not shafted, but, you know, I was getting good money. But the minute I'm injured, I was just dropped like a brick in mortar. But as time went on and progressed, I kind of knew where I stood and stuff like that. So I became Commonwealth champion. I became British champion. I made defense of them titles. And then in my 16th pro fight, a world title fight comes along. And don't get me wrong, the world title fight comes along because of me and my mouth. I basically generated a load of shit. I insulted people cleverly. Yeah, I always understood what people wanted, and I understood that I'm not technically the best fighter in the world. I'm not an amateur. You know, I don't come with a massive amateur pedigree of I've won, you know, world championships. I've won Commonwealth Games gold medals. I've won European. I didn't come with that. What I came with was a punch like fuck, and I'll tell you you're a gobshite, and I'll say anything that it takes to make a good fight. And I understood that's what people want.
Really loved it.
It's crazy, mate. It's people. Do you know what? There's tons of better boxers than me in this world. Loads of them, and there's loads of better technically. But some people just don't get it. It's like, no matter how good the two fighters are, no one cares if they just come together, shake hands, and go, may the best man win. No one cares. You know, the best example I had of it was Kell Brook against Gennady Golovkin. The best welterweight in the world against the best middleweight in the world. It should have been like fucking Leonard and Hagler.
Yeah.
But no one cared, and no one cared because these two fellas want to shake hands and be mates. Now, if Kell Brook goes in and slaps Gennady Golovkin, the fucking whole world tunes in, and they make absolutely 5 times more.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous, but it is true.
And it is, mate. People just don't care when you don't want to say something. So I got that, and I understood it very early on. As you could see from my first pro fights, I was knocking journeymen who couldn't fucking knock the skin off a rice pudding, and I was flattening them. But then after the fight, I would walk over to the camera and say, I will fucking baptise anyone. And them 3 words would make sure I was on TV in my next fight. Or if I jumped up in the air and stamped my feet on the floor as hard as I could after I've just left someone unconscious, they would be speaking about me. They might not. I might have just knocked some crab out, but did you see what he done after he done it?
Yeah.
I would create you to make you keep talking about me. And it's mad because I'm trying to get the fucking fighters who are managing now to do similar things, but they won't. They can't do it.
You need to be very marketable. You know,
yeah.
By India. That's just the way boxing is, you know what I mean?
You've got to sell yourself.
Yeah, say yourself. You say you lost your first fight. The first defeat, sorry, was for world title against a fighter actually who he would go on to beat. How hard was that defeat to take?
Do you know what, mate? It's mad because the first fight that they said I lost, I didn't actually feel like I lost. I thought I won. So it wasn't that bad to take. I didn't come home and lock myself away. I didn't feel embarrassed. I was actually quite proud of myself. Everyone thought I was going to get my head boxed off me. Everyone thought I was crap. Everyone thought I was just a puncher and a fucking mouth from Liverpool. I showed in that fight I can box with a world champion. I can outbox him. I'm a better fighter than people think. So it weren't that bad. The crushing defeat came, mate, against Adonis Stevens, and that's when it broke me. That was like, that was true heartbreak. Because I say after the Cleverly fight, I was like, you know what, love, I thought I won that, and I'm pretty honest. I'm pretty honest and genuine. If I think you're better than me, or I think you'll outbox me, I'll have that. I'm not the best. I've never claimed to be, but if someone's better, I'll just throw my hands up and go, lad, you're better than me. You beat me. But with the Cleverly fight, I was like, I fucking won that. I know I won it because I was perceived and I allowed myself to be exposed to, you know, in every close fight I've ever had, and I've been fighting in my hometown, I don't get it. I fought a guy called Usyk in a close fight in my hometown. Okay, I thought I won that one, but because of my mouth once again, judges didn't like me all the time. They didn't like the way the things are said. So what happens is that's in a mindset in their mind. There's a judge who's judged me throughout my career. Now against Bob Adjusif, I was absolutely shite, I agree. But I didn't fucking lose more than 3 rounds against Bob Adjusif, mate, honest to God. It was an absolutely horrendous fight, but I fucking battered them all right. This judge had me drawing the fight. This same judge had me drawing the rematch against Nathan Cleverly. This same judge had Nathan Cleverly beating me. In each fight, I've found this judge who I know. He went against me because he didn't like me and the way I spoke. And he also had family members in professional boxing who conspired against me. But it is what it is, mate. That's just the way it goes. But very political. So, as I say, getting back to that first defeat, I came out my house right afterwards. I was all right. I just thought, reinvent myself, bounce back, do whatever you've got to do. The defeat that hurt me the most was Adonis Stevens, because I genuinely thought this time I didn't get me shot based on what my mouth was doing or based on me chatting shit or causing trouble at the press conference. The shot against Adonis Stevenson genuinely came. I went through the contenders and the rankings. I'd beaten former European champion. I knocked him cold, Danny McIntosh. I'd been British and Commonwealth champion. I had 2 final eliminators against a guy called Usyk, who was a fucking nightmare. I defeated him. I defeated former world title contenders like Edison Miranda, the number 2 ranked fighter in Roberto Bellonti, the number 1 ranked fighter, as I just said there, Usyk Chalemba. When my shot finally came with Adonis Stevenson, I was the mandatory for him. I had to go to Canada, and I thought in my mindset, if I can do him, it'll be after 4 or 5 rounds. I'll get to him. Sorry, that's my son calling. Just a second. Yeah. My kids just take the piss. Let me open this for them.
Right, go ahead.
My gate's on my house. Rachel. Rachel. Corey's phone, my phone. I'm just finishing up this podcast. Make sure I've opened our gate. Make sure the bottom gate's open for me. Well, mate, sorry. Right, so what was the part I was on? Stevenson. Yeah, so you know what? I goes to Canada. I thought, I'm up against it. This fella's an absolute killer. I thought, but if I can land one, I'll chin him. He's only fucking tiny, and I'm fucking huge at this weight. That was the last time I ever made light heavyweight. It absolutely murdered me. And I never make excuses. I lost to the better man on the night, but let me tell you, mate, it fucking butchered me making that weight. I walked around at 15 stone minimum, and when I got down to 12 and a half, it just fucking ate me alive. It was a killer, but I went into the fight thinking I'm going to get him. I'll do it. From what I remember of the fight, I don't remember anything after walking to the ring, really, if I'm being totally honest. I don't remember a single thing. what I do remember is crying myself to sleep in my hotel room that night, thinking, fucking hell, I've gave this game 10 years of my life. 10 years of my life, and I've not got a pot to piss in. I thought, I haven't even paid me first. I bought my first house yet. I had a house that I bought my first terraced house, but I had a massive mortgage on it. So basically, I didn't own it. The fucking bank owned it. I was living in a house that I was renting, and I was like, fucking hell, it's just. And at this moment, I've now got 2 kids, and I'm thinking, I'm just a fucking failure, mate. I'm going to end up fucking, I'm not going to be able to do it. My babe was pregnant with our 3rd child, I believe. I'm trying to do the dates on it. I think so. I might even have 3 kids at this point, and I just thought I've given boxing everything I've possibly got for the last 10 years, and I've got fuck all to show for it. So I was genuinely thinking, what can I possibly do? And I thought, right, I'm just going to, now I've lost this fight, I may never become world champion. That's what crossed my mind at first, but I thought, what I can do is reinvent myself. Basically, just go and cause trouble with someone and make yourself another fight. And that's what I did. When I woke up on Sunday morning after losing to Donna Stevenson on the Saturday night, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Cause trouble. Make yourself known, make people want to see you, make yourself relevant by just your fucking opening your mouth, do something stupid. So it seemed cleverly was going on, moving up to cruiserweight, so I just targeted him straight away. Lad, I'll punch your fucking head in at this weight. That was the first thing I said. And also I looked at my training team. My coach, who was a fantastic coach, by the way, I had Mick McAllister, who was under ABC. I went back to my amateur coach. I'd been my amateur coach for about 4 or 5 years at this point. I've been back at Rotunda, and it was a brilliant move. He was a great coach, Mick McAllister, and Mark Quinn with him was fantastic. But now that I was moving up to cruiserweight, I was walking around now at 16 and a half stone.
Jeez.
I was now big. I was big and fucking bulky, mate. I felt great when I was this weight. And my coach was turning like fucking 60 odd years of age. How can a 60-year-old man start taking a man who's 15 and a half, 16 stone on the pad to do the physical side? So I asked him, would he be interested in bringing Dave Caldwell in to do the physical side of the game? And he was like, no, I'm not having no one oversee me. Boxing coaches, as you know, are very temperamental. They're very fucking strange people, to be honest. And he was like, I'm not having anyone coming in and tell me what to do. I was like, I don't want him to come in and tell you what to do. I just want to be able to help us with the physical side of things, and he wouldn't have it. And I'd targeted Dave Caldwell for a long time, and I thought he was a brilliant coach. He basically reinvented Ryan Rhodes and helped him massively in the second half of his career. He done great things with Kell Brook. And I thought the most important thing about Dave Caldwell is he knew David Haye inside out. And I was taking all this into consideration because I knew what I was targeting. At this stage in my career, I was worried I wasn't going to win a world title, but I was going to target the money. So I was targeting rematch with Cleverly. I knew I'd beat him easy when I was at my original weight. And then I was targeting someone like David Haye, who's had his moments and he's coming back for a few quid and he looks at me as a mouthpiece. And I thought, I'll get him. I've got inside knowledge. So all these things I was planning. David Price will be able to tell you all these things because he was someone who was in and around me and amongst them times who stayed by me. So it was like, as it was all unfolding, it was crazy, but I ended up linking with Dave Caldwell, moving to Sheffield. I was in Sheffield for living there 4 days a week, which was very, very hard. But, you just got to do what you've got to do, take yourself away. I lived it back in Sheffield in that fucking Holiday Inn Express, the biggest shit. Mate, listen, I've been to some rough places in the world and I've been living in some bad places. I mean, I lived in Philadelphia, mate, the middle of Philadelphia. And believe you me, mate, that is a tough place to be living in. But no place is more boring, no place is more dull, no more places got no more fucking less going on than Sheffield. Oh my Lord. I mean, people go on at me and say, you wasn't in fucking Sheffield, you were in Rotherham. It's all the fucking same to me.
Yeah.
So it was Rotherham where it was, but mate, Jesus Christ. I remember Delboy phoning me. He'd spent one night in Rotherham and he phoned me and said, Tone, how the fuck have you stayed here for 5 years? And I said, mate, it's just chasing the dream. All you have to focus on is the dream of becoming a world champion. In that Holiday Inn Express, it was just me microwave, and my iPad.
But you know what? At all. Because you know what? You talked there about, look at 2 setbacks of the world titles. struggling to make weight, but then, you know, you're a massive Everton fan. So
Yeah.
how good was it to fight, not just to fight at Goodison Park, but to become world champion at Goodison Park?
Oh, mate, it was just unbelievable. I'll say I always dreamed I'd love to have been a football player, if I'm being totally honest. And if I had my way, people still ask me now, what would you rather be, a world champion or a footballer for Everton? And my answer is always the same. Do you fucking think I enjoy getting punched in the face? People have no idea, part of how fucking hard and brutal boxing can be. Could you imagine if someone would offer you all your amateur career or be a Premier League football player for your club who you love? You know, you'd just be like, fucking absolute, don't be talking shit to me. And I just loved it. And I've been fortunate enough to play on Goodison Park a few times since I've retired. But I don't know. When the fight came around for Goodison, it was like, you've got to remember, at this stage, I'd now done the movie, so I thought, I'm always going to be famous for just fucking having a pretend fight at Goodison Park and retaining my world championship there. At this point now, once the movie had dropped, I'd been British Commonwealth European champion. I was happy with being British Commonwealth European champion. In my mind, and still to this day, that is an amazing achievement.
Of course.
You know, people underestimate the European title and the British title so much. People think, you know, oh, it's dead easy when you go pro, and if you're at a world level amateur, you should piss at easy level. But it's a different game. You know that, and I know that. They're two completely different sports. It's like saying rugby and football are similar because they're both played with a ball. That's the kind of difference there is between them. So
I always like weigh out between like horse racing. So you have the flats and the jumps.
Yeah.
Similar, but it's not. If you know what I mean.
It is. It's yes, the end goal is punching people in the face, which I agree, yes, but the way you go about it is just completely different. The way you prepare to do it is completely different. The levels of brutality are completely different.
Yeah.
And then add on top of all of that, then you've got absolute fucking sharks that you've got to deal with on a day-to-day basis when it comes to the money, you know, the financial side of it. So, and to be honest, we're never prepared to deal with the financial side of it, if I'm being totally honest, because at the end of the day, we're all fucking boxers. Half of us are punchy. We've got our whole lives chasing the dream, and I go, do you know what, I'm looking at this, the fucking light shite here, wait there a sec.
Right.
Fucking hell, that brightened it up. Turn that one off. That one on, that should be better. So half of us, yeah, that's better, sorry. Half of us are punchy, and I'm just like, no one ever taught me about taxes. No one ever taught me about opening a business. No one ever taught me about creating money to save for your future. No one taught about me about buying houses, renting them out, and doing this and that and the other. I actually speak to fighters now. And I was talking to a fighter not so long ago for a world title, pad, and he was going to get his money and put all of his money in his personal name. If he'd have done that, he'd have took 40% of his money before he even hit his bank account. And I informed him of this and told him what he can do about setting things up, companies, different things like that. And he was like, oh, mate, thank you very much. And I said, no one ever spoke to you about this? And he said to me, no. This lad was fighting for a world title against a massive name. And he didn't even know about how to save his own money and look after his pension for that when he's finished boxing. It's insane. A world champion. So there's just so many things. And as I said, I'd learned these things. But getting back to Goodison Park, I had so much pressure on me. You'd have to realise. I mean, I love going to Goodison Park. It's been the best thing and one of the best things in my life since I was 9-10 years old. I've been going to Goodison Park for every other Saturday in my life, dreaming of being a fucking footballer for Everton Football Club. The only fucking thing is I was too fat and actually not good enough to be. So I've just got to be brutally honest sometimes. So when the world title fight finally gets made, I'm like, I remember arriving at the ground thinking, if I don't do this tonight, I'm going to be the biggest laughing. Like, I've told the world I'm going to be world champion.
Yeah.
At this moment, no one knew how long McCarthy was. No one knew anything about him. I did. I knew who the fucker was. He'd been waiting for his WBC title shot for over a year, 18 months. Gregory Droz, the Russian, basically didn't want to face him. And it's funny enough, isn't it? With 6 weeks to go before Gregory Josh is supposed to face Elonga Makabu, who's number one mandatory challenger. Gregory Josh, I nearly said then, Gregory Josh gets an injury that prevents him boxing for 2 years. He says, I am out of boxing for a full 2 years. This injury that he'd done just mysteriously just got him out of boxing for 2 years. Funny enough, he still never came back now.
I don't know what's
yeah, strange one, mate, when these Russians just all of a sudden get an injury that keeps them out of boxing for 2 years. But anyway, the title gets told that whoever faces someone's got to want to face Ilunga Makabu for the WBC title. No one wanted anything to do with this fucker. He's actually now WBC champion. He's the reigning cruiserweight champion of the world. Remember at the end, phone me saying, I've got good news and bad news. Previously, the month earlier, he'd phoned me and said, I've got good news. I've got you a world title fight. He said, you're going to fight Berbit Schumann for the WBA regular title in Las Vegas on an Al Heyman bill. I said, well, just rephrase that. Number two, I'm not fighting for a belt. That fucking means absolutely nothing. And that WBA regular means fuck all to me, mate. Okay, so that's the first thing. I said, I'd rather fight for a belt out of Matalan than that WBA regular title. And he went to me, Tone, I promised you a world title fight. I've got you. I said, Ed, come on, get me a world title fight. He said, all right, you whinging cunt, leave it with me. He fucked me off. So, and a month later, he calls me, I've got good news, I've got bad news. I said, okay, what's the good news? He said, I've got you the WBC world title fight. I said, you are fucking kidding. I said, how's that possible? I said, Gregory Josh, the champion, he's set to face Ilunga Makabu. He said to me the situation with Zod. He said, Zod is out for 2 years. I said, why is he out for 2 years? He said, because he's got an injury for 2 years. I said, oh, that's funny, isn't it? Someone gets an injury and knows exactly when they're going to get better. He said, don't know, but drug tests have something to do with that. I said, okie dokie. So he says to me, I said, what's the bad news? He said, you've got to face Ilunga Makabu. I remember saying to Eddie, I'd just been stopped by Adonis Stevenson a year or so ago, a fucking tiny, big punching cruiserweight. Well, this fella's only another little tiny, big punching cruiserweight, southpaw. And I was like, I remember the word saying to him, Ed, does it have to be him? And he went, Tom, he's not even all that. He's been stopped before. Earlier in his kit, I said, Ed, he got stopped on his feet because he didn't understand the fucking English of counting to 10. And he said, well, I didn't know that. I said, well, I did know that. If you watch them on tape, I said, he's knocked out fucking Ty Fields, a heavyweight cold. And then he was like, Tone, you're not going to get a better chance. He said, come on, you must be able to beat this fella. Eddie Hearn, just didn't have a fucking clue about him. And I was basically schooling Eddie because I knew every cruiserweight about it. I'd studied everyone in my division. He was the one fighter I didn't want fuck all to do with. I remember him facing a guy called Thabasu Makunu. And Thabasio Makunu had just beat Eddie Chambers. Now, I'd sparred round after round with Eddie Chambers in the Fury gym. Tyson Fury should always watch us. And Eddie Chambers is a really good fighter. And I always remember asking Eddie Chambers, what's Makunu like? And he said, Tony's a fucking really good fighter. He sets an unbelievable pace and you can't keep with him. Well, Ilunga Makabu knocked him out. And I was like, if he's fucking knocked him out, he's a serious threat. So I remember saying to Eddie, Ed, listen, can't you speak to the WBC and say to them, get Bellew a vacant title fight against someone in the top 10 and then we'll face Makabu in our first defence. And Ed said, Tone, I tried that. He said, and they just said to me, if he doesn't face Ilunga Makabu, he can't fight for the WBC title. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I tried my best to avoid him. I fucking couldn't. I had to get in the ring. I'm not going to lie. Very few people would tell you that true story, but that's the fucking way it went. I didn't want to face Ilunga Makabu, but I fucking did.
Here, see, when you did fit him after all that you knew about him, what was going through your head when he put you down the first round?
Oh, mate. First of all, walking to the ring, I was shitting there. I've only ever been nervous for 2 fights in my whole life. I actually love fighting, pal. I'm a fucking weirdo, and fighting's the best thing in the world. I love the buzz of actually having a fight. I fucking hate training. I hate running. I hate the fucking pain game. I hate all of it, but I love fighting. I love walking the ring. I love just getting into a fight, me and you. So when I was walking the ring, I was thinking, this is fucking unbelievable. My ass was twitching, mate. I could have literally shit my pants when I was on my way to the ring. I got in the ring. I'd studied the Ilunga Makabu religiously. Don't get me wrong, I actually got in the ring and I had a bad injury. I detached me floating ribbon sparring. I had a kid over. his fucking name evades me. He fought Kovalev after me. He was a sparring partner of me, southpaw, tricky fucker. And I twinged one way and he whacked me on the other and it detached me floating rib 3 weeks before the fight with a fucking bad injury. So I had that. I couldn't pull out. I couldn't delay or postpone the fight because Goodison Park was only available for that one date, the 29th of May, because the ground was getting delayed on the Monday, the bank holiday Monday. The new pitch was getting delayed after the fight. So I knew I couldn't delay or postpone it. Goes into the fight. I'd studied him. I thought, I've got to get rid of Alunga Makabu within 4 rounds. I knew if it went past 4 rounds, he'll get me. And he's vulnerable early doors. He starts slow and he just gradually ups the pace until he gets you. So in the first round, I've started great. Boom, 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 smacking him. I'm getting reactions off him. Every time I hit him with the right hand down the pipe, I'm getting a reaction off him. I felt really sharp and really powerful. And then it comes into like the last half a minute of the first round, and I've hit him with a left hook to body. And you know when you hit someone with a good body shot, they make that noise. And they pull themselves down, so I fucking whacked him with this left hook to body. And he's done that. You can watch it on the video back. And then me, like a fucking big dope, I've stepped back, admiring my work, thinking, I'm fucking brilliant. This is great. I'm on the verge of becoming world champion at Goodison Park. So as I've stepped back, I've been like a big, proud giraffe, and I've looked at my work, and my neck's right up in the air, and I'm like, I've got this swag about me, big dozy bastard. And he just stepped at me, he threw one jab, he threw another jab to my body, and as he threw the jab to my body, me like a tit came down to his height and dropped my hands, and he just went, fuck off, left hand, and he hit me. It's one of the hardest I've ever been hit. By the way, people thought it was a balance issue of how I went down. It wasn't a fucking balance issue. This twat took me off my feet and snapped my nose in two. He hit me on the nose, and I just remember hearing crack, 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 snap, and then it hit my nose, and then it went down to my chin. So the impact hit my nose, and then when it hit my chin, my legs collapsed underneath me, and I rolled over like a fucking gymnast. It was just mad. And I was thinking, what the fuck? I remember I must have been up at like 2 or 3 because I always bounce up off them kind of knockdowns for some reason. Immediately straight up. I remember walking around and I was looking at the referee thinking, I'm sound, you know. And the referee was just looking at me just to say, what the fuck is going through your head? And I was thinking, I don't know. And actually, if anything, the bell goes. I wouldn't say the bell saved me because my legs were really strong, but the bell definitely helps me at that stage. Goes back to the corner. Now, this is the mad part because I do remember all the things Dave Caldwell says to me in that first round. At the end of the first round, he comes in my face, fucking little tiny face, about this big, and fucking little Sheffield voice. You got greedy. You got fucking greedy.
Exactly.
And I was like, I'm already a fat cunt. The last thing I need telling is I'm fucking greedy when I've just been put on my ass in a fight. So it's mad because that's all I can't remember. When I think back to that fight, I thought when I had knocked the Alunga Makabu out, I thought I'd done it in the second round when I got back to the dressing room. I don't remember anything at all of the second round. I don't remember Dave Caldwell talking to me at the end of the second round. It's just like I'd gone through it in a daze, and then I remember the third round starting. I remember the third round starting thinking it was the second. It's crazy, mate, what your fucking mind can do. It's frightening. So it comes out for the third round, thinking it was the second, dozy bastard. And he comes at me and he's looking to nail me to the body now. And he keeps looking for a heavy straight left to the body. And I'm jabbing him. And as he bends down, just before he lets the left hand go towards me body, I smack him on the temple with the left hook. Straight away, got a reaction. And through studying him, he never took a backward step ever unless he'd been shook. And this fucker didn't just take a backward step. It's like he ran off. He fucking ran off on me. So I went chasing after him like a big dope. And I'm whacking him with every shot I can in the book. I'm missing with half of them, but the odd one's catching him on the side of the head, on the fucking chin, everything. I'm chasing him. And then I finally get him to the ropes with an exchange, because all I needed this fella to do was have one exchange with me. And if I can copy you with my left hook, I just know. Everyone I've ever hit clean with my left hook, they just go out like lights. So I'm trying to get him to exchange. And loads of fighters over the years that I fought in my career, I would touch them with a short left hook at the start of the round. but it wouldn't do anything. It would like you'd feel it, but then they would go defensive. That fucking telly's like, can you hear that telly?
Huh?
Oh, can't you? I was going to turn off. So with Makabu, I got the reaction as soon as he with the left hook throughout my career. If I got a reaction from you, the clever fighters would shut up shop and they would survive then for the rest of the fight. But Makabu had ambition. Makabu thought, I've dropped you once. I only need to get you one more time and it's going to be over. So we're going through trade-offs in this ropes and I'm catching with body shots, everything. And we're in the third round now and I've been down in the first, obviously. So I'm still, not 100%, but I've got him. And he throws what me and David worked on all camp. He said he likes to throw lazy jabs. He said, now, if you can get him to throw a lazy jab and you slip it, throw my right hand and slip to me left. As you slip to the left, you're going to hope for a lazy jab to come at some point. And he done it, mate. The pinpoint actually we worked on, it come. The minute I threw on the right hand and it missed, he popped it like a slow jab coming over me. And as I seen it coming, I put the fucking everything I had into this left hook. And as soon as it hit him, I thought, mate, you are not waking up. Don't get me wrong. I gave him 2 more when he was on his way down just to make sure, but he was out.
You know what? See when you caught him, I genuinely thought he was dead.
Do you know what, mate? I'd say the same myself, but in all honesty, the minute Victor Loughlin waves his hands like that, I didn't care. I didn't care about anything in the world. I mean, I never wanted to hurt anyone in the boxing ring. I want to render you unconscious for 10 seconds. That's all I want to do. But my lifelong goal and dream at that point was complete, mate. I've swam the channel. Everything I ever dreamed of came true at that moment. I've been British, Commonwealth, European champion. It's mad because I didn't care about any of the boxing belts. I fought for the WBO one. I fought for all 4 of them. I fought for the Ring magazine, but I didn't care about them. I idolised John Conte growing up. I idolised Mike Tyson growing up. I idolised Nigel Benn. I idolised Roy Jones Jr. I idolised Floyd. All these fighters I've studied. I've watched Mike Tyson. And the one belt that I identify with all of them names I just said is that fucking green and gold WBC belt. And the way they held it up, you remember them holding it, and I just thought, that's the belt I always targeted and challenged for. I'd done it at light heavyweight and I failed. Yeah, but at the cruiserweight one against Makabu, when that punch landed, I just dropped to my knees. And it's very rare I'm fucking lost for words, mate, but I have no words that can explain what went through my mind. I just cried and cried and cried. And it was mad because remember at the end going over to me and saying, Tone, stop celebrating. He might be dead. And I was going, I remember crying, it doesn't matter. And I was saying that, and he's going, Tone, please stop celebrating. I was going, doesn't matter, I've done it, it's all over. I'm retired and all that. I was saying to him. And he was saying to me, just fucking calm down. And then Makabu finally comes around after about 5 or 10 minutes, which was brilliant to see. But mate, I just can't explain. But if I had lost that night at Goodison Park, I'd have never have gone to Goodison Park and watched Everton again. That's the kind of pressure. And I've been taking my kids there. I couldn't have dealt with the shame, mate. Honest to God, I'd have hid. For the rest of my life, I'd have found somewhere to hide and just lock myself away. People ask me, how does it, as you get older, as you become more mature and stuff like that, you learn to deal with the setbacks a lot better. But I would never have got over losing at Goodison Park. Not a chance, mate. And it's just the greatest night of my whole career. I'd say the greatest night of my life, mate. But I've had 4 kids. And I've been married, mate. And I don't think she'd say too kindly to me saying, great, Goodison Park was better than now, wet. So,
here, even after those kind of fights, you went and fought David Haye, beat him twice.
Yeah.
Boxed ahead of him and stopped him. But the fight I want to talk to you more about is the Usyk fight. I love amateur boxing, so I know how good he was.
Yeah, he's special, mate.
But you were cruising the first half of the fight. What do you think?
Yeah, do you know what, mate? I had gone up to heavyweight for the 2 Haye fights, and I'm not going to say I struggled making cruiserweight when I was there, because I didn't. It was tough. I'd come down from 15.5, 16 stone most camps, and I'd get to 14.4 and it'd be sound. But the minute I went to heavyweight and fought Haye twice, it's not like I gained a ton of muscle or everything changed, but your body just gets used to not having to make weight no more. And I didn't have to make weight for the Haye fight. The first fight, I actually weighed in at 15.3. Well, I lost 4 pounds in a hot bath 20 minutes before I got on the scales, because I thought I can't weigh in too heavy. I was 15.5 stone really when I fought David Haye. That was too heavy. The rematch is the best I've ever felt weighing into a fight for the rematch with David Haye. I was fucking perfect. I was 15 stone bang on. No hot bath, no nothing. I even had fucking a little bit of abs for that rematch. I felt absolutely perfect at 15 stone. It was only a couple of abs, but I seen a little glimpse of them. I felt great for the Haye rematch. It's the best I've ever felt. And I went into that fight with a fucking cracked rib, which is absolutely insane to think that, because a kid called Malik from London cracked me rib 3 weeks before. A cruiserweight from London. I forget his surname, but he was a fucking really good fight with the Sauerlands. He cracked me rib with 3 weeks to go. I kept getting injuries on the last 2 weeks of sparring, just that stopped me sparring with 3 weeks to go. In 4 out of my last 5 fights, I carried a major injury into them, and that's the telltale signs.
Yeah.
You're getting older. Your body can't do it no more. I was going through 12-week camp after 12-week camp. You've got to remember, since my 12th professional fight, nearly every single fight since, barring 3 all the way to the 36th fight, was a 12-round bout.
Yeah.
I had 3 bouts, 1 6-rounder, 1 8-rounder, 1 10-rounder. The other 20 plus bouts were all 12-round fights, all title fights of some kind. So all them camps just took its toll on me.
Yeah, not like the fight, the cast, but obviously
The camps are killer. But as I say, I'd beaten David Haye, and after that rematch, I felt fucking fantastic. Best I'd ever performed, best I'd ever done, even with a major injury. I felt great. I fought Haye in the May, and then I got married to my missus in the July. And I was like, and I'm not going to lie, I was retired. And I was on our honeymoon in Mykonos. Me and my babe, she wouldn't go far away from home because she wouldn't leave the fucking kids for more than 4 days. So we had to go to Mykonos. Me and her went there, got on the ale on this Saturday night. And this is one of the reasons why you shouldn't get on the ale and take your mobile phone with you. Some fella came over to me. I'm in a bar in Mykonos. And me and my missus drinking champagne, thinking we fucking cracked it. Big time Charlie's on the fucking rosé champagne, the Moët rosé champagne, and thought we were fucking great. Our new wedding rings on and stuff. And we're in this bar, and some fellow comes over to me and says, "We can have a look at this fight." And I said, "Listen, mate, come on, I can't, I'm on my honeymoon." Anyway, it's that fucking Usyk and Gassiev. And I looked at me, miss looked at me just to say, "Tell him to fuck off." And I went, just give us a minute, girl. I'll have a little watch of this. I'm watching it, paying attention, watching certain things. Before I know it, it's on a screen in a bar, and I'm watching it now fucking fully. I didn't really pay that much attention, but when I heard my name said after the fight, I thought, "You cheeky bastard." I thought, this fella's he had all the belts on. He looked fucking boss, mate. He's got all WBC, IBF, WBO, the Ring magazine. He's got the belt round his waist. And I just heard Tony Bellew, and I thought, about 4 or 5 people just turned around and looked at me in the split, and I thought, the fuck? He just said, "Mate, I'm pissed as a fart at this stage." I phoned Eddie in. Eddie will tell you the story. I said, "You make that fight, I'm going to punch his fucking head in." And Eddie went, "Listen, Tone, we don't need this now. You've made a good few quid. You're financially secure. Everything's set. 2 fights, your world title. You've achieved everything you set out to do. Just leave it alone." And I said, "Listen here." I said, "If you don't make that fight," I said, "I'll make it on my social media right now." Well, the fucking thought of Eddie losing a pound, he won't fucking sleep. So, mate, anyway, I finished his drinks the night away. I had a fucking fantastic night this night, me and my bed. I wakes up with a banging headache in the morning, and Eddie ends on the phone, and I thought, "What the fuck's he doing phoning me on my honeymoon?" And he went, "Tone, the fight's made." And I said, "What the fuck are you on about?" And he said, "You told me to make the Usyk fight last night." And I said, I haven't spoke to you since the fucking beat David Haye." He said, "Tone, go through your calls. You'll see you called me last night." And I said, "Don't be fucking stupid." I said, "Why would I ask to fight him? Obviously, I knew how good he was. I've been in Ukraine on training camps with this mad bastard and sparred with him and been punched all over the place in fucking sparring to start with. So I said to Eddie, have I really? He said, Tone, he's agreed to everything. You determine everything. You know, you've got what you want for the fight. You pay him a one-off fee. You take the whole game. You take everything is in your favour.
Yeah.
He gave me the projection of what it can make, what we'll do. At this stage, it's mad because now the promoter's working for me, and then I give him a percentage of what I make. It's mad how boxing turns around where people are working for you. It's crazy. You're in control of everything. I was in control of the sponsors, the TV, what's coming through the gate. And it's very rare that a boxer gets to that level where he controls everything. I was picking the fighters who wanted on the bill, the undercard, the choose support, whatever have you. I would do everyone favours. At Goodison Park, I stuck all my mates on the fucking bill. My first defence, I stuck all my mates on the fucking bill and I paid them all boss money. So it was mad. And then at the Usyk fight, it was just, I thought, I've got a chance I can catch him. I thought, the thing with Usyk, I'd known him and studied him for years. I knew, mate, he was the best of the very best. This fucking kid's unbelievable. I thought, but no one is clever enough. No one's boxers wise enough or studies him enough to set him traps. Everyone just goes for him and think, I've got to take his head off. I've got to hurt him. If you can set him traps and be quick enough with your feet and clever enough to make him miss and then make the adjustments, he doesn't like it. He hates it. And especially if you can counter him anything to the body. So I'd studied him that much. I knew the mistakes he made. I goes into the fight. Now, by the way, I was in fantastic shape. Fucking phenomenal shape. I trained out in Portugal where Dillian did for the first month or 3 weeks, whatever it was. I was in great shape. You know, don't get me wrong. When I got on the scales after my honeymoon, I arrived in Portugal. I was 17 stone 3, and I had to get to 14.4. That's my fault. I fucking enjoyed my wedding too much. I enjoyed my fucking life. I was having a great time. But I lost a stone in the first week, to be honest. Straight away, the weight come off, flying off, because I started training really hard, running in the heat, all that kind of shit. I'd done a ketogenic diet for the first week. I ate fats and everything else. I didn't touch a single carb. Me for like 10 days. It was fucking hard. It killed me, but I got the stone off really quick. I came home and everything was going really good in camp. And then once again, with 2 weeks to go, Ty Mitchell, the cruiserweight, Fury put him onto me. Fury said, I got him in for sparring with Klitschko because Fury spars anyone and everyone. He doesn't spar a particular person to suit the style. He said, Tony, this kid's really live. He's game as fuck. And you know, he hasn't had pro fights, but trust me, he's a really good sparring partner. And I've known Tyson for years. So I said, all right, I'll get him in. Gets this Ty Mitchell in. Cunt was like a fucking wizard. He just moves everywhere. He's dead quick. He's dead sharp. Yeah. He'd have a good day against me, beat me up one day. The next day I'd come back, I'd give him a good fucking tanking. It was back and forth. It was just the sparring I needed. With 13 or 14 days to go, this day I got him in. I had 3 opponents in to do 12 rounds. He gets in, and in the 4th round, he hits me on the fucking rib, and it's the rib. It's out of place a little bit. Straight away, I knew he cracked my rib. Fucking just hit me on the body, mate, and I thought, oh, you twat. I tried to carry on for another half a minute, and straight away, as soon as I thrown a jab at him, I just had to stop sparring. So he knew, Ty Mitchell knew straight away in that spar, I've done me rib. I said, listen, I'd like you as a kid, and I think you're pretty honourable. I respect you. I said, can you keep this to yourself? And to be fair, fucking hand on that, mate, he kept it to himself. But he was the kid who cracked me rib. Now, I'm not making excuses. It didn't play any part in the Usyk fight. The fucker didn't hit me in the body, to be honest. I was so sharp on my feet that night, I wouldn't let him near my body. But I targeted his body. I nailed him a few times. The reason I was ahead in the fight is because I studied him religiously. And I always had good feet as an amateur. That's purely down to roots under ABC. My footwork was always good. Dave used to always want me to use steps in professional boxing. And although I incorporated a lot of things Dave done to me, one thing I kept is I kept the bounce in my feet. You see a lot of guys, and you'll know this yourself, when you turn pro, they want you to stop the bouncing.
Yeah.
I never believed in stopping bouncing, so I always kept it in my game. I always done it. Whenever I wasn't in the gym with my coach, I'd practice my footwork. I'd do certain things I'd do to work on the bounce and staying on your toes and moving all the time. So there was some fights where I needed to use my feet for 12 rounds and box. The fight with Roberto Bellonti, I dropped him twice in the first 3 rounds and then got the worst cut over your eye you'll ever fucking see. So I had to box him for the next 9 and not get touched. I still had that in my arsenal. So with the Usyk fight, I went right back and I said, I remember saying, Dave liked Usyk, but he didn't study him religiously. He didn't know him like I knew him. I said, Dave, trust me, if I can make this kid miss and keep counting him, I can beat him. And he was like, you can't box him. You've got to get that. You rough him up. And we're like, trust me, just believe me. I know I can outbox this fella, but I need to get him to go behind on the point, and I need to get him to start chasing me. Everything was going perfect for 6 rounds. And then I'm not going to lie, mate, he nailed me with an hard shot in the 6th. It weren't that bad, but it was hard. It rocked me back leg. I thought, okie doke. Round 7 was where the disaster starts to come then. Because for me, I've won out the first 6 rounds. I thought I'd won either 4-2 or 5-1. I was cruising. Everything was coming together really good. And at the end of round 6 or 7, at the end of round 7, I went back to corners. This is what I can remember. I can't remember anything after this round. The next thing I remember is just being in the dressing room, my missus walking in the door. At the end of round 7, my coach comes to me and Dave said to me, are you tired? And I said to him, I am fucking exhausted. Mate, I've never in my career before or after ever been as tired as I was in the corner that night. Now, I could put that down to a number of things, but I'm not going to. I think I was exhausted. He put pressure on me that much, and I boxed that well for the first 7 rounds that I had nothing left. Now, yes, I had to make weight for the first time in 2 years, and it was. But even though I had to make weight for the first time in 2 years, I found it hard to make cruiserweight again. I'm not going to lie. I had to get a hop back on the morning of the weigh-in. It wasn't a drastic fucking lot of weight. I had to lose 4 pounds. It wasn't a killer, but it's the first time I'd ever, to make the cruiserweight limits, I had to get a hop back and lose weight. It's the first time I'd ever had to drag a little bit out of me.
But you know what, Tony? I think you may agree with me here. Like, someone like Usyk, and the way you're a big lad, and so is he. But the way you fought, it's very tiring. You need to stay sharp all the time, and plus,
yeah, of course,
the way he fights, he's never at a range, so you're always thinking, and that's very, very tiring as well.
I was physical and mental. It was much mental exhaustion probably as it was physically, and that's because of the pressure he puts on you. It's all front foot pressure. It's me because he's in range, but he's not. Yeah. His feet are in range, and that kids you into believing he can hit you. Yeah. But he's not actually in range because his front foot is so close to yours. You're constantly on edge. Yeah. But the things that I could do in them first 6 rounds was I was able to make him miss and then counter him quickly, and that's because I had so much. The amount of sharpness that I had that night was brilliant. I said I had a great camp. Everyone went fantastic, but I didn't take defeat badly to him because I'm happy. Because I could have finished my career and not took that chance, and I would have went down as fucking an amazing career. What I've done, just beat Haye twice, former undisputed cruiserweight champion, former heavyweight champion. Lord, I've dealt with him, I've done him, but I took that fight purely to dream. Like, Usyk wants to fight me a heavyweight, and I'm convinced if I had fought him at heavyweight, I would have still lost probably, but I'd never have got stopped. Yeah. And because when I was at heavyweight, I felt invincible. Me, nothing could fucking hurt me. I had Del Boy in for the last week of sparring before the Haye fights, and mate, I was strong. I was pushing big fucking 19 stone heavyweights all over the place, and I was banging them up like fuck, and they couldn't live with me. But the minute that I went under 15 stone, I would feel it. And as I said, with the Usyk fight, he wanted to fight at heavyweight, but that fight for me wasn't about money. It wasn't. It was purely for the glory. I looked at all them belts. So while Usyk was asking to do the fight heavyweight, I forced it to the cruiserweight. I said, I won't fight you unless the cruiserweight. No, I'm not stupid. I know why he wants to fight me. The profile that he was gaining in the UK was massive. No one cared about him. Even as undisputed unified cruiserweight champion, no one cared. But he fights me, and now everyone cares. You know, it's mad. I knew what I was getting, but I was trying to be amazing. I was trying to do something that I never ever dreamed was possible. I've done it. I don't regret it. He's a fucking diamond of a fella. He's nuts. Yeah. I really like him. But he's by far, Pad, the best I ever fought. He's unbelievable, mate. He's the only fighter who I've ever came across who was able to do to me the things that I could do to people. So he was able to make me miss by that much, and then nail fuck out of me with 4 punches immediately as soon as I'd missed. He's amazing. I remember sparring him in Ukraine all them years ago. We went to a camp. I'm not sure your lads were there, but it was on this camp. We stayed in, I think it was Kiev, the Klitschko Cup.
That camp,
oh, mate, we went to a shake-up with, and we had to walk through the woods to come out the camp. And mate, we got chased by rabid, fucking ravaged dogs. Dogs chased us through the woods, mate. I always used to want to get sweets or fucking something to get in, because I was a heavyweight at the time and I could eat what I wanted. And I remember being at Klitschko Cup. Fortunately for me, well, it's not, I shouldn't say that. Fucking, my granddad died when we were in Ukraine, and I got sent home on a plane. I should have boxed him in Ukraine. I'd have got fucking absolutely hammered the life out of me, but I should have boxed him as an amateur. I didn't. I got sent home because my granddad died.
Crazy.
But I always admired him after sparring with him. I sparred with him and Glavatsky in Ukraine. I remember thinking, nailing Glavatsky with every fucking punch in the book, and he just look at me and say, what the fuck was that? Usyk, I just couldn't even put a fucking glove on him. I think at the time he might have been 81 or just moving up to 91.
81, yeah.
Yeah, but he was brilliant. He was just fucking hell, mate. He was just unbelievable. And as I say, you've seen him box here, there, and everywhere. So, without doubt, mate, he's the best I ever faced. And I have no, like you said, how did you feel after your loss, stuff like that? I was gutted. You know, I was a bit devastated. My career was over. You know, yeah. I knew going into that last fight, win, lose or draw. Excuse me, sorry, mate, I'm fucked. I knew going into that fight, win, lose or draw, it was over for me. I just knew. I couldn't do nothing more in the professional game. This was the pinnacle for me without a shadow of a doubt. But facing him, he was unbelievable. He really was. And I wish him every success going forward. And I don't regret it whatsoever. People say, would you regret it? No. I tried my best against, and I'll say it now, in my opinion, the greatest cruiserweight that's ever lived. He's done something that no other cruiserweight's done. He's unified all the 4 belts and the Ring Magazine Championship, and then he's defended them against the best contender in the cruiserweight, and that was me. Yeah, he's beat them all. He went through all of them. I mean, it's crazy because when we were in the press conference, they said to him, do you think this is your toughest test? And he said, yes. And he said, why? And he said in his language in the translation, he said, because when Tony Bellew was world champion, I believed he was the best cruiserweight in the world. That's because he was fighting 8 rounders at that time. And Gassiev weren't a champion. I was the WBC champion. I beat Ilona Makabu, who was the most fucking dangerous twat in the world. Now, my spell, the minute I became WBC champion, I would have liked to have retired, to be honest. After that fight, Goodison Park, I'd achieved everything I wanted to. The only reason I carried on fighting after Goodison Park was for one thing and one thing only, and it's the fucking pound sign.
What there?
And it's crazy, mate. I'm honest about it. I'm honest about it now. After the world titles come, I've done everything. The only thing left to do is secure me family financially. And I've promised me missus on the Monday morning after I fought Goodison Park. I said, listen, she asked me to retire in the kitchen, and I said, I can't retire because this fucking house we're living in, I've got a fucking mortgage on it that costs fucking absolutely, I've got to make money, girl. And she was like, okay. I said, but I promise you something, the rest of my career now is about money. I said, so every decision I make, every person I fight will be purely about the financial gains for us. And that's what it was about. David Haye just had a massive, do you ever remember the program called Red Dwarf?
Yes.
So do you remember the fellow who used to have the H on his forehead? Well, David, they had the same thing, but a pound sign on his forehead to me. and that's what I've done. I targeted the money, mate. And you know,
I can talk to you all night about boxing. Jesus Christ, you're so knowledgeable. And plus, because we came in the same era in 07, 06. So, I just don't want to keep you long, but finish off. I want to do a quick fire round, 5 questions. Okay.
Go on, mate, fire away.
If you could choose a different sport, what would it be?
Professional footballer for Everton Football Club every day of the fucking week. Twice on a Sunday.
Who would you say is your greatest rival?
Myself.
Good one. Did you have any pre-fight superstitions?
Always put the left glove on first. because I knew that was the first punch I was going to kiss them with.
The most successful punch too.
Yeah.
Did you have a favourite quote or saying?
Yeah, I always lived by the quote, fucking I'm a punchy bastard. I always had a quote that I'd live by, and it was really, if the best way of putting it out. I'm trying to think of the best way of fucking putting it. I'm a punchy cunt, I really am. The fucking quote I've lived by all my life, and for some reason it's just evading me now. I have no idea why. It's basically just saying, mate, fucking, train. I can't believe it. I can't believe the quote I've lived by all my life. It's on the wall at Rotunda. I actually they put it on the wall in Rotunda. I've got it. It's come back to me finally. Fucking hell. Fail to prepare to fail. One thing about me is, mate, I never cheated in camp. I can hand on heart say that. I never skipped a fucking session. I never, the diet, I never evaded from it. When I was signed up to a fight and I was in that 12-week training camp, I gave it everything. I used to have a punch stats record in the Cold Horse gym. I'd be up against fighters your way, featherweights, fucking flyweight, and I could throw a bigger punch output than they could. I would do crazy shit, mate. I would push myself to levels in the gym. I could lose half a stone in a session. I would push myself to Selkirk will tell you. He used to come on the track and do a run with me. I've been on the track for 40 minutes. 40 minutes of stopping doing up and down run, sprint session, up and down, just constantly up and down on the track for 40 minutes. Now, Joseph would be with me for the first 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 if he was in shape. But he'd see me run, spew up, and the coach would always push me with the whistle. So it would be like 100-meter sprint, jog for 10 meters, 100-meter sprint, jog for 10, and I would keep that up for 40 minutes. I would do anything, whatever it took, because I always knew, Pad, I was not the best. I wasn't the best boxer. So I would have to go to insane levels and be always a step ahead physically to beat you.
Yeah.
So that's what I live by, mate. That was the quote to live by. Fail to prepare to fail.
Who is your favourite sports person, past or present?
That's a good question. Sports person. I genuinely believe the greatest athlete that's ever lived is Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
He's just a freak. I can't. It's unexplainable to how he's done what he's done. I think he's the greatest athlete ever. In boxing, who's the person I idolise the most? I think Roy Jones Jr. is the greatest fighter that's ever lived. A prime Roy Jones, not the fucking fella who's messing around now.
He should be fit anymore.
Oh, mate, it's crazy, but that prime version, I just think a prime version of Roy Jones beats any fighter that's ever lived. He's fucking so perfect in offense and defense. It's just unbelievable.
Well, Tony, as Ian, I can say, I could talk to you all night, even for a couple of hours about boxing.
Glad I could.
But listen,
thank you
thanks
very
for being
much.
a part of PaddyCast.
Absolute pleasure. When you get it through, Pad, send me and I'll put it out.